What's the biggest geopolitical threat facing America? You said Russia. Not al-Qaeda. You said Russia. In the 1980s are now calling to ask for their foreign policy back because, the Cold War's been over for 20 years.
Russia does continue to battle us in the UN time and time again. I have clear eyes on this. I'm not going to wear rose-colored glasses when it comes to Russia or Mr. Putin, and I'm certainly not going to say to him, I'll give you more flexibility after the election.
Yeah, tell Vladimir that I'll have a lot more flexibility after the election. Remember that oldie but goodie. Joining us now is Bill Kristol, founder and editor of the Weekly Standard. Hello, sir.
Hey, how are you, Steve?
Good to talk to you. Okay, so that aside, we know how wrong Barack Obama was on Russia. Today he came out and he basically laid the blame at Putin's doorstep for what happened, the downing of the plane, talked about sophisticated training and weapons being given to the rebels, separatists, who we hold responsible now, apparently, for firing that rocket. What are the repercussions going to be?
Well, that was pretty unclear from the president's statement, and I would say if you were Putin watching that, you got a little bit of a slap on the wrist, but you didn't really get a sense that you were supposed to get out of the Ukraine or stop providing these weapons to the separatists immediately, or there'd be consequences, or tell the separatists at the very least you can't be shooting at airplanes. So I thought maybe the president will follow up. I hope he does. I hope he makes clear to Putin sort of what's acceptable, all of this is unacceptable. But I would say it looks to me more like it's heading for slap on the wrist, a lot of international consultations, sadness about the civilians lost, and then will Putin really pay a price? I'm a little doubtful.
It was Obama, basically, like I said, laid it at Putin's doorstep, but didn't say that he's responsible. Senator Ron Johnson earlier in the show said Putin is responsible, no doubt about it. He said that over and over again. The Pentagon wouldn't even, when asked their press briefing earlier, when they were asked about Putin, he really ran away from mentioning Putin, saying, there's an investigation, et cetera. So I'm with you. I mean, even if the investigation comes back and it's laid at Putin's doorstep, we could look for a couple of more targeted sanctions, and that's it, and Putin gets away with killing, 295 people.
Right, and then suddenly the occupation of part of the Ukraine goes on, and the assaults on Ukrainian troops presumably go on.
But Bill, didn't the administration, I think through the State Department press briefing, if not the White House press briefing, several weeks ago, tout Ukraine as a victory, as a bright spot in the president's foreign policy?
Well, we've mobilized the international community for some extremely limited sanctions. I mean, Russia is one of the most embarrassing, obviously, aspects of Obama's foreign policy. Also directly implicates Hillary Clinton. I mean, she was the great advocate of the reset. She's the person who visibly launched it in 2009 and defends it to this day. And so it's just one of, unfortunately, many examples around the world where the Obama policy, the Obama-Clinton, Biden, et cetera policy, we're now seeing the consequences of it. It's funny, weakness, the U.S. is a very strong nation, and so we can do stupid things and be weak, and probably it doesn't have an effect right away. But now you look at the Middle East, look at Russia, look actually at China, and you see what the world starts to look like when people think everywhere, friends and enemies both, think the U.S. is weak and in retreat.
Why would the president, and it happened yesterday too, I don't remember who in the administration said it, but today he definitely said that this is a European tragedy, and citing the flight pattern, the country of origin, the destination, the people on board, what countries they were from. Why would he go out of his way to say that this is a European tragedy?
Well, presumably to try to, make it seem as if the Europeans have primary responsibility for dealing with it, just as he wants the Iraqis to deal with ISIS, and he wants the Syrians somehow, I suppose, to deal with the civil war that's consuming their country. And the only country that doesn't get to deal with things on its own is Israel, where we continually harass and nag them not to do certain things that they judge are necessary for their national well-being.
Oh yeah, well we're going to get to Israel right now. In fact, the president letting us all know that he spoke to Benjamin Netanyahu today, and that while he supports the right of Israel to go after those tunnels and the rockets, there's always a but. There was a but in the statement he made yesterday, and there was a but today, and that is the concern over civilian casualties. And I hearken back, as I've done all show long, to Marco Rubio yesterday, who spelled it out on the floor of the Senate in an 18-minute speech, saying that any and all casualties to civilians are the responsibility of Hamas. Why on earth can't we have a president who would say that?
He should say that. And furthermore, think about it implies that he's nagging and finger-wagging at the Israelis about civilian casualties. Does he really seriously think the Israeli military doesn't care about civilian casualties, that they don't have the most elaborate code of conduct in war of any military, maybe even more elaborate than ours, to try to prevent civilian casualties in very difficult situations? I mean, do they really need a lecture from Barack Obama about how to fight humanely? That's what's so annoying about this. It doesn't have much effect, I suppose, but it's this kind of moral preening that sitting thousands of miles away, he can wag a finger at Benjamin Netanyahu, who has been extremely careful and prudent in doing what he has to do here to secure his own civilians' safety. And, that's what's so annoying about it.
Well, what happens now?